Hello, this is Stanley Parable. I'm doing a remaster of my old series, because why the hell not?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Should I follow? Bucket, come
The
with me.
good old bucket. Just standing in the
favorite
bucket.
bucket.
Off on another thrilling adventure together.
I love my
Stanley
bucket.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Bucket. Tell me where to go, Bucket.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
Talk
Perhaps
less,
his boss's
okay.
office was where he'd find answers.
What the? It actually changes? I never knew that. Huh. The broom closet.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it?
Yes.
The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You
What?
can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's
No.
as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket.
No!
I can really feel it now.
Not my
Coming
bucket.
to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Hello? Anybody home? New memory zone. Where am I going? Hello?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Yippee!
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Wanna know where my bucket is?
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Where's my bucket?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Where's my bucket? Where's my bucket?
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle?
Should I waste my one jump? No? Okay. We're saving my one jump.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new content. This is peak.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Never. No. That's annoying. Well, at least now I can grab my bucket again. Bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Bucket.
What could it mean?
Bucket.
Stanley
where are
decided
you?
to go to the
Hello,
meeting
bucket.
room. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Come with me, bucket.
Still no one
You'll
was
be
here.
safe.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
What else is in the memory zone? Hello? Ooh. What the? Business strategy. Killing pandas. Cool elevator. Let's see where this goes. Ten out of 10 elevator music. Is the elevator shaking more? I think it is. Thinking about a crash. Mr. Narrator Man? You still here? Oh. Is that actually what happens? Nothing? I'm just gonna spam this button until something works. Again. Up, up. Down, down. Left, right, be a star. I guess nothing happened, it's just an elevator. That's kind of annoying. Wanted to see if it led somewhere. Like this door.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
I still don't know what the combination is, guys. Very difficult.
2845.
Who's this guy talking?
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Bucket? Do I go down here? Yes? Okay. Let's go, Bucket, you and me. Against the world.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Don't worry, Bucket. We're here.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
What's this button?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Should I jump down, guys? Yes? Okay. Bye-bye. Whee!
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Thank you, Bucket.
Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home.
Yeah, Bucket.
In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning.
No,
It
Stanley.
unsettled the bucket deeply.
Holy.
Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing
can't
it
blame
over
him.
again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually.
Yes,
It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Oh. Alright, well, I guess nothing happened. We're gonna do
All of
the
his
exact
co-workers
same
were
thing.
gone. What could it mean?
Except we aren't
Stanley
falling
decided to
down
go to the meeting room. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley
It's kind of
clutched the
funny what he
bucket tightly to
says
his chest and
every
entered
single
the
time.
door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where... Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this rep, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yeah,
Was
the bucket does
guiding
know.
him?
He is guiding.
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
The bucket is my master. Pray to the bucket.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it. But of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Let's go, bucket.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
What?
Everyone in the office was being videotaped,
What, the
monitored
bucket?
like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Don't worry, bucket. It's me and you versus the world.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't
No.
wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Don't worry, bucket.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter.
Never, bucket.
His one friend in the entire world.
Me and the
At
bucket.
this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Yes. The bucket is all-knowing.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
What bucket? You're saying turn it back on?
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Oh, bucket.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery.
Good job,
Stanley and the
bucket.
bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Alright, we'll do one last one.
I can't wait to tell
where
this story to
we
my
turn it off.
co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing?
Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test
We're
of...
speedrunning
Stanley
this.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his
Now.
left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Why is it raining?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yes,
Was the
the bucket knew.
guiding him?
Yes.
Yes. This is certainly the most logical explanation.
The bucket knows all. We're speedrunning this. Maybe I'll get the achievement for the speedrunning. That'd be kind of funny. I probably lost all my time right there, but
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
why am I
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well?
Bucket?
Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of
I won't
things does
question
the bucket
the
want
bucket,
to do or not
the
want to
bucket
do
of
in the
all.
first place?
All-knowing
These
bucket.
questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter.
Don't worry,
His one
bucket.
friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Yes, the bucket.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Yes,
For he and the
bucket.
bucket.
We did a great thing, bucket.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere
bucket.
moments away.
We're
Excitedly,
almost here.
the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
Yes,
True,
bucket.
it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with
Alrighty,
one another
bucket.
to lean on, to trust, to support, and to...
What?
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the
Bucket.
soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place.
No.
Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley
Yes.
gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Oh, the place changed. Bucket.
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling
Yes.
him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Yes, bucket.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the
bucket
door on
is
his left
never
to go
wrong.
back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
What's this way? Bucket is telling me to go down. Down the pole. Or down to the pit.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we
What?
care about you very much.
No.
It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
No.
The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Do we follow the adventure line or broom closet? Adventure line it is. I have to follow the adventure line.
Whee! Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Oh yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about.
Give me
Don't
back
you
my
remember all
music.
those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
What?
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No. The bucket is mine.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True,
Never.
it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely
No,
you don't
I
need
do
me
not
to spell it
wanna
out
know.
for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then
Never.
pop it into the machine when you're ready.
This bucket is mine.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
Well-
Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What
Okay,
other
here, take
object
my
in this
bucket.
game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans
Never.
what they want. Hurry
I
and
tried. My eyes. The flashbang.
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Nothing can kill the bucket. Alrighty, well, that's my last thing for right now for episode 1 remastered. Episode 2, where I don't know, we'll do something. Bye.